Und damit ein herzliches Willkommen zu diesem neuen Projekt, The Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, also der zweite Teil von The Great Ace Attorney. Ich bin sehr, sehr gespannt. Was auf uns zukommt. Alleine, dass in diesem Titel Resolve drin vorkommt, also Entschlossenheit, das Wort, weiß ich nicht, da kriege ich schon Gänsehaut bei. Da kriege ich schon leichte Gänsehaut bei, denn für die, die sich erinnern, im letzten Spiel, in The Great Ace Attorney 1, also Adventures, kam das Wort Resolve einmal am Anfang vor, als er in London angekommen ist. Dass er nicht die Resolve hat, nicht die Entschlossenheit, das durchzuziehen, diesen einen Fall. Und er hatte diese Entschlossenheit und scheinbar wird Entschlossenheit jetzt in diesem Spiel zu einem zentralen Thema. Ich bin sehr gespannt, ich freue mich, alle Charaktere wiederzusehen. Ryunosuke, Susato vielleicht, die ist ja in Japan im Moment wieder, weil es ihrem Vater schlecht geht. Hier, wie heißt er noch? Sherlock Holmes, genau. Iris auch. Und vielleicht sehen wir ja noch ein paar Nebencharaktere. Das wäre auf jeden Fall auch cool. Und ja, ich weiß, im letzten Video in den Escapades hatte ich gesagt, dass ich vielleicht ein Review zu dem ersten Teil mache. Habe ich jetzt doch nicht gemacht. Ich bin aus Berlin zurück und ich habe es doch nicht gemacht. Weil ich erstens nicht die Zeit dazu hatte und zweitens dachte ich mir, okay, wenn ich das mache, dann vielleicht einfach nach dem zweiten Spiel, damit ich diese ganze Chronicles in einem habe. Ja, und meine Meinung zum ersten Teil habe ich ja eigentlich auch ausgeführt während des Abspanns. Genau. Was gibt's noch? Genau, wir haben viele offene Stellen aus dem ersten Teil. Allen voran die Liste, von der Regierung mit den Namen drauf, wo Kazuma Asogi, der Freund und der tote Freund von Ryunosuke drauf war. Und John Wilson, der Vater von Iris, der auch tot ist, was Iris aber noch nicht weiß. Dann war noch Gregson drauf, der Detektiv. Und ein unbekannter Name, Shin oder so. Ich glaube Shin. Vielleicht, wir werden es ja sehen wahrscheinlich. Dann gab es noch, dass Susato wusste, wie die eine Story, die Iris noch nicht veröffentlicht hatte, hieß, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Woher sie das wusste, wussten wir auch noch nicht. Dann, denke ich, werden wir tiefer in den Charakter von Barock van Zieks eintauchen. Denke ich jetzt einfach mal. Könnte ich mir gut vorstellen. Entschuldigung, ich rede gerade so, als ob ihr das alles kennt, ne? Aber ich denke mal, wenn ihr den zweiten Teil kennt, wenn ihr den zweiten Teil jetzt guckt, habt ihr den ersten Teil schon gesehen. Deswegen sage ich hier kurz meine Gedanken raus, ne? Also, falls euch das alles hier unbekannt vorkommt, was ich hier sage, guckt oder spielt den ersten Teil einfach. Dann wisst ihr, was ich sage. Obwohl ich euch jetzt schon ein bisschen gespoilert habe. Aber egal. Und was gibt's denn noch? Genau. Bisschen was vielleicht noch aufgeklärt wird, was ich schade fand, dass es nicht im letzten Spiel war Hosonaga. Der Inspektor, der da undercover war, der ja eigentlich nur in den ersten 2 Fällen war. Aber ich fand ihn sehr interessant. Auch wenn das Interessante bei ihm hauptsächlich durch seinen Husten war, weil er dann geblutet hat. Aber ich fand es trotzdem sehr interessant, wieso er geblutet hat. Ob das noch aufgeklärt wird oder nicht, bin ich mal gespannt. Auf jeden Fall. Oh, und wir müssen auch noch wissen, was Kazumas Mission eigentlich in Großbritannien war. Das wissen wir auch noch nicht. Und das hat, denke ich mal, was mit mit dieser Liste zu tun, wo sein Name drauf stand. Genau. Ansonsten gibt es sonst noch irgendwas? Wir werden es sehen. Wenn euch noch was einfällt, dann wisst ihr mehr als ich. Aber ich glaube, das waren so die Main-Punkte. Genau! Also, The Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Ich bin sehr gespannt. Wir starten in ein New Game.
Standing here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean. Those days in London seem like a dream. But I do miss my time in England's vast capital. You know, he's flourished into a truly wonderful lawyer. I've no doubt that at this very moment, he's fighting some noble cause in court. Forgive me for taking so long to come to visit you. My life has been such a whirlwind since I returned. And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home. So I came here today to ask something of you. Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court. For the only time in my life. As a lawyer. So please, I ask for your guidance. Kazuma-sama.
Episode 1, The Adventure of the Blossoming Attorney. What the fuck? Das ging ja schon... Was? Was? Alter, allein diese Opening-Sequenz war ja schon ein emotional Rollercoaster. What the fuck? Allein diese Opening-Sequenz, Alter. Erstmal Susato schön auf alte Zeiten angespielt, ne? Wir sind in Japan. Wir sind an Kazuma-samas Grab. Und dann, Junge. Oh, dann, jetzt ist sie quasi Anwältin und habe ich es richtig gesehen, dass Giselle Brett, die Täterin aus dem ersten Fall, die davon gekommen ist, quasi ohne ein Urteil zu bekommen, weil sie britisch ist, dass die da tot lag? Habe ich das richtig gesehen? Habe ich das richtig gesehen, dass Giselle Brett da tot rumlag? Habe ich das richtig gesehen? Junge, das ist... Oh, ich muss mal kurz. Das ist... Alter. Okay, fängt sehr gut an. Und jetzt spielen wir quasi Susato als Anwältin in Japan, okay. Ich bin sehr gespannt. 13th August, 8:26 am. Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendants and Chamber 3. 13. August ist jetzt... Wir haben den 23. August, wenn ich das hier aufnehme. Fast noch im Datum. Für euch nicht, weil es wird wahrscheinlich jetzt schon Winter sein, wenn ihr das hier seht. So mal grob gesagt, aber krass. Okay. Here I am again, after 9 months. The Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan. I feel so nervous, but I must steel my nerves and find a way to compose myself. Oh, der Vater. Dem geht's scheinbar wieder besser, oder? Ah, good, you're here. It doesn't do for a lawyer to be late. Oh, yes, good morning, sir. I hardly recognize you. You cut a fine figure, Counsel. Oder weiß er gar nicht, dass das seine Tochter ist. But you look as white as a sheet. And those white eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Oh dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous. I feel utterly nauseated. Also betäubt, aber wie wird's ausgesprochen? Es geht wieder los. Es geht wieder los, Leute. Es geht wieder los. Nauseated. Warte? Nauseated, okay. I almost wish that I'd never been born. Goodness, not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say. Okay, das ist doch der Vater, weil es mich ein bisschen irritiert hat, dass sie ihn gerade Sir genannt hat, aber hat man damals scheinbar gemacht. Eugene Mikotoba, Professor of Medicine at the Imperial Human University. Wir erinnern uns aus dem ersten Fall, im ersten Teil war er da. A man who earlier in his life traveled to Great Britain to study the latest advances in forensic medical science. And of course, my brilliant father. Excuse me? Maya! Ah, okay, hallo. Das ist nicht Maya, aber sieht so ein bisschen so aus, ne? Would I be correct in thinking that you are to be my lawyer in court today? Oh, yes. Yes, that's right, miss. Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication, this whole thing. Ray Membami, born the same year as I, and my greatest friend. I saw! Though unusual for a woman in our time, she works at the university research laboratory, helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial. Accused of committing a truly awful murder. Are you feeling alright? Since we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. Oh my, it's just that you look so gallant and dashing. Sorry? And when I fall under your intense gaze, it makes me feel rather bashful. Ich bin mal gespannt, wie Susato dann aussieht im Gericht. Bashful. Schüchtern, okay. Oh, einen Moment mal ganz kurz. So. Goodness, I don't think she knows. She hasn't realized who I am. Ah, okay. Ah, it would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work. Oh, what? What do you mean, Professor Mikotoba? If even your best friend can't see through the disguise, I think we can relax. Aber war nicht der Vater... Hat sie nicht gesagt, dass es dem schlecht geht? Warum steht er dann hier, als ob nichts wäre? Also ich meine, sie ist ja nach Japan zurückgekehrt deswegen. Oder hat das einen anderen Grund? Wir werden sehen. Whoops. Disguise? Yes, I've never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be. But this does make me feel a little relieved, as you say, father. Father? What? Is that you, Susato? I'm so sorry, I didn't say something sooner, Way. It's just that... No! What are you doing? What's going on? What? That varsity uniform, that varsity cap, that varsity cape, that varsity badge. Look at you. You look all for the world. You look for all the world just like a student of the Imperial Human University. A male student. I'm so glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke at 4 this morning to make a start. But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Well, you see, it was the only way. The only way she would be permitted into the Supreme Court to take on your defense on this trial. My defense? Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated at having been born into this body. Courts in Japan are bared to women. We are not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom. Hat sie ja aber im ersten Fall auch gemacht, oder nicht? Despite the fact that the laws of the land apply to all people, male and female alike. But women are forbidden. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door. So that I can act as your lawyer. Oh, Susato, you'd go to such lengths for me? Of course, you're my greatest friend. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. Oh no, I have complete faith in you. Wait. It's so strange though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already. And yet, just because you're a woman... What a wretched reason! I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in court? You're so gallant and dashing. Da muss ich mal kurz gucken, was gallant heißt. Gallant, edel und dashing. Flott. Edel und flott, okay. Wei. Please don't look at me like that, with those flushed cheeks and dotting eyes. Oh, I'm sorry, it's just... You really do look so dashing. Yes, you mentioned that once or twice. Wahahaha! You should be pleased. It means you look convincing as a man. I am pleased, I think. It certainly helped to bolster my confidence today. Wei, you're managing to put on a brave face in all this, but I can see through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped, and how you're trembling ever so slightly. Susato, you do believe me, don't you? I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder. Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right? Yes. Yes, it is. Perfectly clean. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence. Which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side. Because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer. Habt sie was gelernt aus dem letzten Spiel? That means so much to me, Susato. Defendant, Counsel, als ob die das jetzt nicht gehört haben, ne? Die Gerichtsdiener hier, dass sie eine Frau ist. Als ob sie das nicht gehört haben. Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. You should go in at once, Ray. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty. Oh. Stand aside! I don't think I've ever seen her run so fast. Well, Susato, you've certainly surprised your father. Going to such lengths to be admitted into the courtroom, and with no prior experience of being a lawyer. There was simply no other way, that's all there is to it. But father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming that Ray doesn't know how it came to this. Yes, quite right. I've kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case. I didn't want to burden her with that. Okay. And is it true? The reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case. Ist Van Siegs wieder da oder was? Ist er jetzt in Japan? Is it really because of who the victim was? Ach so. We should be making a move now too. As you know, law isn't my field, but I'll do what I can to support my student. Thank you, father. Okay. I'm Susato Mikotoba, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. But 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan. How many times have I wished that you were here? I wonder. Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Komm, mach Ionosuke stolz! Wish me luck, Naruhodo-san. Make him proud. 13th August, 9 AM, Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 1. Oh, wir haben wieder den Pain auf der Staatsanwaltsbank. This court is now in session to hear the trial of Wei Membami. The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency. Das sieht schon cool aus, muss ich sagen. Das sieht schon cool aus. Defense Counsel, are you ready? Yes, Your Excellency. We are ready. Ready! Oh, yes, Counsel. According to your registration details, your name is... Ryutaro Naruhodo. Is that correct? Naruhodo, okay. Sorry? Jetzt steht auch Ryotaro. Oh yes, I had to come up with a suitable male name for you for this little venture. So I'm afraid to say I simply put down the first name that sprung to mind. Well, Council? Yes, that's right. That's me. Yes, I'm Ryotaro. He who has vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan. Wie ihre Augen sich genau bewegen wie bei Ryunosuke. Oh man. It seems Ryotaro may need to consider how better to uphold his manly act first and not overdo it. And those wild white eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen. Naruhodo. A fresh face in this costume, if I'm not mistaken. But the name Naruhodo, would that perchance be... You may be thinking of Ryunosuke Naruhodo, currently in Britain as part of a study program. This is, his cousin. That's right, Ryotaro here has been studying in the provinces, but was called to the capital for this trial. I assure you, in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any of Tokyo's preeminent lawyers. Any of them. Toot toot toot, what a pitiful situation. Toot toot toot? Oder Tat? Ich weiß es nicht. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accused has had to call in a country boy. How dare you! Susato is every bit as gallant and dashing as any of your Tokyo attorneys. Nein, sie hat Susato gesagt. I won't have you making fun of her. Her? Oh, please be careful, Wei. What an unrefined tomboy we have here. But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending you? His wide, skittish eyes very much suggest that he is not. I'm so nervous. Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, eyes are wont to flit. Eyes are wont, what? Flit? Huschen, wandern, okay. The case to be heard on this day is a matter of great significance to our national interest. Warte, ich muss nochmal nachgucken, was wont ist. Also, ohne das Apostroph. Gewohnt. Okay, es ist eine Gewohnheit, dass die so hin und her gehen. Okay. The case to be heard on this day is a matter of great significance to our national interests. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire. Okay, also es ist wieder so ein Fall. Just like the trial 9 months ago. And yet, for proceedings of such importance, we have this unknown yokel by the dock? Dear me. Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for me to assess the defense. To determine whether you are sufficiently competent to practice in this courtroom. 9 months ago, when a certain other Naruhodo stood here where you're standing now. The same judge tested him as well. And even though he was just a student at the time, not even of law, he passed the test with flying colors. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this will be easy. So, counsel, do you consent to answering some simple questions? Alright, it's time to prove myself. Dasselbe move. Yes, your excellency, but please do make them simple. Very well, to start with. You will state the name of the victim. Ooh, that is simple. I couldn't forget that if I tried. What's the matter? Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, mines are one to blank. It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position and in that guise. Even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter a little under the circumstances. Oh dear, this is a dismal feature, a failure. Don't fret, you need only use the knowledge you've gained as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem. Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer will be amongst all the key information about the case in the court record. That's right, just use R to open the court record. Then you need to flip the people section with R. And don't take too long over it, His Excellency is watching you closely. Alright, check the court record with R. That's the information I need will be. Okay. I'm waiting, Counsel. Alter. Ach so. That's where the information I need will be. Okay. Das ist doch korrektes Englisch. Hab mich gerade schon gewundert. What is the name of the victim in this case? Post-mortem report. Time of death just after 2 p.m. Death believed to be due to a trauma to the victim's lung from a knife blade. Only a single wound was identified. Okay, also es wurde gestappt. Victim Giselle Brett, female British. Time of death 11th August at around 2 p.m. As certain by examination and witness statements. Als ob es wirklich Giselle Brett ist. Das finde ich krass irgendwie. Cause of death, single deep stab wound from behind piercing a lung and resulting in a fatal hemorrhage. Death would have occurred within minutes. Notes, extreme meiosis, pupil constriction was observed in the victim in both eyes. Was ist Meiosis? Meiosis? Pupillenverengung, okay. Jetzt gucken wir uns nochmal die Profile an. Eugene Mikotoba, a medical school professor at the Imperial Humane University. He is an authority in forensic medicine in charge of the university's laboratory. He also happens to be my father. Ray Membami, erst 16 ist he, okay. My best friend who works as an assistant to my father in his laboratory at the Imperial Humane University. She's a defendant in this case. Giselle Brett, 25, the victim of the case, who was a former British exchange student. 9 months ago, she was found guilty of the murder of visiting Professor Dr. John Wilson. Das waren wir. Also wir waren nicht John Wilson, aber wir haben sie als guilty befunden. Taketsuchi Auchi, 52, the lead prosecutor of this case, who appears to be struggling to accept the changes afoot as a result of these turbulent new times in Japan, the Meiji era. Okay. Taketsuchi Auchi ist der Name von dem Opfer. Nee, Giselle Brett.
Yes!
das ist ja... Ja, sie ahmt ja alles von Rionos Grab nach, meine ich. Sie ahmt ja alles nach. The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Giselle Brett. Giselle Brett. A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country, I'm sure. Correct. And being a member of our empire's judiciary, you will be well aware of the significance of that name. So, let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brett was a visiting student from the Empire of Great Britain. Why then is her name indelibly associated with our own empire's judicial history? Obviously, you won't have forgotten that case from 9 months ago. But if it's proving hard to recall the finer points, everything you need is included in the court record. Obviously, I still remember. That was the start of everything. Giselle Brett. Behind the woman student persona was the face of a killer, of Queen Victoria, genau. A killer.
Yes!
9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Humane University was killed. And the culprit was Giselle Brett. Yes, she was a killer. At the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain, and it was in the midst of a delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, was shot dead. I believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikoto, wa? Yes, I was indebted to the man. He'd been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. Indeed, it was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on our soil was a matter the government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court. A student of the Imperial Yuma University was arrested on suspicion of murder. A second-year English language student by the name of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. With the help of his best friend, a student lawyer, the accused conducted his own defense and exposed the despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brett. Wir erinnern uns. Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. However, when questioned about the motives that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life, she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion. Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its consular jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided that she would be removed to Shanghai, China instead. Why Shanghai? There's a British consular court there. Correct. I oversaw the negotiations personally. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. All that remained of our empire's obligations was to see the woman safely on board a steamship. And yet, the very day before her departure, the English woman was killed. Only the day before? Damn. Einen Tag bevor sie weg wäre, okay. That will do. I'm satisfied that the counsel for the defense is sufficiently capable of representing the defendant. Oh. Thank you, Your Excellency. I was the first hurdle. Now, a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Auchi. Seine Moves auch immer. Ich liebe es. As you wish, Your Excellency. The repugnant crime took place on the 11th August in broad daylight. Okay, das ist eine schöne Gegend. On the outskirts of the imperial capital, under a bright blue sky, at a secluded bathing spot by the sea. The incident occurred inside a small beach hut, erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes. The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung. Aber warum, wie kann sie als Mörderin da frei rumlaufen, frage ich mich. An injury which proved fatal. There were two persons alone together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett, in her bathing attire, and the accused, Wayman Barmy. Accordingly, there can be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when we consider she had a powerful motive. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady. Well, that extraordinary description of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say. That's certainly true. The prosecution's summary was full of words that raise an awful lot of questions. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about the bathing spot. A powerful motive, erstmal, würde ich sagen. You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement. Tut tut tut. is a yokel boy using long words he doesn't fully understand? Was heißt die Jockel? Die Jockel. Tölpel. Achso. I beg your pardon? No matter. Let us put this to the accused, shall we? Membami-san, are you a research assistant at the Imperial Human University, I believe? Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikotoba in his laboratory at the moment. I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility. Fascinating to hear. Now, another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikotoba, whose research were you assisting then? Oh, I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson. Okay, also sie war eine Kollegin von Giselle Brett. Dr. Wilson, the visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago. Okay, er will wahrscheinlich sagen, dass er sie umgebracht hat aus Rache für den Mord an Dr. Wilson. The accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true? Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man. Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the Englishwoman who killed them. Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done. A powerful hatred. Oh no, wait! Be careful what you're saying. Ah! Oh no. The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency. Well, it was clearly a trap all along. How wicked of him to use Ray's undying respect for her former mentor against her like that. I must find out more details, and something we can use to bolster our defense. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about being alone together. Membami-san. Yes? What is it, I mean, Naruto-san. I'm really starting to wish we'd make my alias Ryotaro Susato. Please, tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place. And why you were alone with her. Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There were other people present. The detective who was guarding Miss Brett for starters. I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all. But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut, and no one else. You and no one else. The truth is, there's only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on the bathing, sojourn. What is sojourn? Sojourn? Hallo? Aufenthalt, okay. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life. No! Because, as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accused would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again. Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel. The prosecution counsel seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him goad you. Oh dear, this is really terrifying. But father's right, we need more information. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about the bathing spot. If I may, Prosecutor Aochi. What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokai student? I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned the bathing spot. Ha! My apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. bathing spots are the very latest trends and health practices from the West. We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skins. No, that's not what I meant. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea? True. For old time's sake, I believe. Sorry? Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day at our country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply. But on what grounds would we agree to such a request? Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline to the whims of a known criminal. Don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong. But in fact, a murder took place. I said don't look at me. It was that young student girl who did it, not I. No one has proved that yet. I wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to. I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration, instead continuing her research work at the university. Eyes up! Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions. Seeing the murderer of the mentor for whom she had such great respect enjoying such undeserved liberty. Yes, even if it was only temporary until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai. You can hardly blame Wei for her feelings of anger and resentment. Poor Wei. So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind as to peruse this exhibit. Peruse.
To peruse.
Ah, überprüfen, okay. Überprüfen heißt das, peruse, okay. A photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident. Yes, thank you, Counsel. A tragic image. As you can clearly see, there's nowhere within the hut that anyone else could have hidden. The court will accept this photographic print as evidence. The photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. The photographic print of the scene taken by police just after the incident occurred. The stab wound on the victim's back is clearly visible. Gucken wir uns das mal an.